Hi guys, Brain here and welcome to another list video. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 killers for teachable value. Teachables are a very important system in Dead by Daylight because every single killer comes with 3 unique perks, and in order to get those on other killers you have to prestige the killer at least once to get that perk at the yellow or lowest rarity, right, tier 1, on every single killer, and if you prestige that character up to prestige 3 you get the tier 3 unlocked on every single character instead of having to level them up individually. I know some of you may be out there right now trying to look for killers to buy in order to have more efficient and consistent games in Dead by Daylight by getting their perks, so I want to help you and guide you towards the ones that are the best, at least as of this summer. Number 1, Artist. Artist is probably your best perk value in the game currently right now. The Artist comes with 3 slowdown, all of which are a very good. Pain Res, despite its recent nerf, is still the best slowdown perk in the game. The ability to do flat damage instead of proportional damage is very exceptional, in addition to the fact that it automatically targets the gen with the most progress, which is kind of a skill curve and sometimes a character issue with movement abilities to find the right gen to be able to kick it with something like pop, but Pain Res just does it automatically. It's a very immaculate and great perk. Next, she has Grim Embrace, which is a perk that activates based on hooking someone, which blocks the gen for a very short period of time. But once you've hooked all 4 survivors, you enter a much longer gen block that essentially just pauses the match in its place and stalls it out and gives you the time to have some chases to catch up and get back into the game. It also gives a little bit of ordering on the obsession. I'm just saying that because somebody will point that out if I don't say it. Hex Pentimento is your bread and butter companion perk to any Hex Totem build, and we'll be getting to more of those later in the video. The thing that makes Hexes very risky is that they have very strong effects, but if they get popped, if they get cleansed by the survivors, then you are down a perk slot. Pentimento makes up for this by giving you a flat red bar slowed down gen speed just for relighting the totem. Now once that totem is popped the second time, that is gone. But that very first stack of Hex Pentimento is very good, in addition to other effects as you continue to light more totems like anti-healing, anti-recovery on the ground, etc. Number 2 is Pinhead. Pinhead used to be the best perk value character in the game until Grim Embrace received its fairly recent buff. And that comes with Hex Plaything, which is a very unique Hex perk that lights as you hook people and makes them oblivious until they choose to cleanse that Hex totem, which creates a lot of confusion and kind of creates a win-win situation for you when you bring this perk, because either the survivors are oblivious, which means you're better getting the drop on them and having better chases for that reason, or the survivors now have a second objective that they must waste time on, and that is time off of gens. Next is Gift of Pain. Gift of Pain is nice because Gift of Pain applies a red bar slowdown to gens the first time you uniquely hook somebody, but always applies Mangled and Hemorrhage. This is great for characters that don't rely on their basic attacks, so characters that mostly use their power to do damage, because most of the ways that you apply a Mangled and Hemorrhage is through Sloppy Butcher, which is a general perk that only applies off of basic attacks, which makes it to where it's very efficient to run on characters that don't use their basic attack very often. But now you have an option for you to apply that any single time, because even after the initial unique hook and the red bar slowdown, you still receive the sloppy effect every single time you hook them on a Scourge hook. Lastly is Deadlock, which is probably the most safe and sound slowdown perk in the game. It doesn't require any input from you in order to slow down the game. It just pauses the next closest gen in terms of progress after the last gen is finished, which is very nice. It paces the game a little bit more smoothly if the survivors are choosing to gen rush you. It's just, even after its nerf, it's just a very solid, very nice perk to have on. Number 3, we have Clown. Clown has always been a good teachable character, mostly for their perk Pop Goes Louisa, which despite the many attempts to nerf it over the years, continues to maintain its strength. Now, it's been nerfed down to the fact that the damage is proportional and the numbers are way down compared to what they used to be, but Pop still finds its way into being very effective in most builds and most characters in Dead by Daylight. Compared to other slowdown perks in the pack, besides maybe Pain Res, Pop is still probably one of your best options. Hooking somebody and getting just a whopping 20% off a gen proportionally if you kick the right gen is very strong and very good. Especially if you're a character that has a movement ability, the fact that you can just globetrot across the map, find the right gen no matter how far they are away, and just delete some of its progress is very nice. Their next teachable is Bamboozle, which is arguably one of the best chase perks in the game. Bamboozle is when you vault a window, it is blocked for a very short period of time. One of Dead by Daylight's main issues, and one of the things that makes it most frustrating on the killer side, is the fact that most maps in the game are fairly survivor-sided, and that comes down to a lot of very strong resources, such as strong windows or outright god windows. Healing with these strong windows or god windows can shut down a lot of killers in the game, especially those on the basic attack variety. Bamboozle helps you with this because once you vault through that window after the survivor, not only do you get a speed boost, but that window is now blocked. So even if they get value out of it once, they're not going to get value out of it again. This is unfortunately the part of the list where we start dropping off a bit. Not every single character is going to have all 3 teachables be available to them as a good option. Colorophobia is Clown's last perk, which basically relegates itself only to anti-heal builds, and even then you have to dedicate slots to having a larger Terriers, unless you're Wesker. Number 4 is Nemesis. Nemesis has very, very good perks, and probably one of the best info perks in the game. That starting off with Lethal Pursuer. Lethal Pursuer allows you to see all the survivors at the beginning of the match, sans if they have distortion, obviously. The opening of any match of Dead by Daylight is often the most crucial. Finding somebody quickly and getting into a quick and efficient chase and finding a quick first down to begin your pressure is probably the most important part of any game of killer. Lethal Pursuer helps you do this right away without any sort of guesswork. Also, Lethal Pursuer is a great companion perk to other aura reading perks as it extends their duration. Second is Eruption. Eruption has seen better days, formerly being one of the strongest perks in the game and dominating the meta for a while, but after its nerf, a lot of people gave up on it, despite the fact that this is actually still a very, very good perk. The problem is that Eruption now mostly delegates itself to being a companion perk to other kick perks. It ties very, very well with basically any kick perk in the game, because after you kick a generator, the next time you down somebody, it damages the generator and also gives you aura reading if a person was actively on it and makes them scream. Considering that as for right now, kick perks are still very, very prevalent in the meta, there's no reason to not put on Eruption and get that extra umph, get that extra damage on the generator, as well as some good info. This, like Gift of Pain, is very, very good for characters that do not use their basic attack very often. The most comparable perk to this is probably Surge, but Surge only goes off of basic attack. So if you're somebody, say like Huntress, Xenomorph, that are going for mostly their power in order to down survivors, you're not going to be getting Surge value. However, with Eruption, after you kick a gen, it doesn't matter. You're going to get value either way. Like we said earlier, this is the part of the list where not all 3 teachables are good and valuable, and Nemesis's last one, Hysteria, is a very odd obliviousness perk. Honestly, Pinhead earlier with Hex Plaything, if you want to play with a fun Oblivious build, the Plaything is the one for you, not this perk. And last up at number 5 is a classic pick that has been very, very good in terms of value the entire time this character has existed, and that being Plague. Plague comes first with Corrupt Intervention, which is just the paramount, quintessential anti-gen rush perk. One of the big things, like we mentioned before, is the beginning of the match is very, very crucial. Finding somebody very, very early, getting a very early chase, making sure that chases very quickly, and getting that hook as quick as possible is one of the most important parts of a killer match. However, this is equally true for the survivor. Getting as much gen progress on the board as early as possible makes it harder for the killer to come back after their first chase. One of the ways survivors do this is quite literally hopping on a gen as quick as possible on the farthest side of the map and doing that gen in safety while you're in your first chase, basically making it to where you can't do anything about it. However, Corrupt Intervention intervenes, quite literally. It blocks the 3 furthest gens from you, so the survivors cannot immediately do that and have to often traverse into the center of the map and often right straight into you, the killer. Problem with Corrupt is often a lot of killers will chase through their Corrupt Intervention, which is defeating the point, because the point is that they can't touch those gens, so you don't have to worry about defending those gens, so make sure you're not doing that. But either way, this is a very, very good perk for slowing down the beginning of a match. Second is Infectious Fright. This one's a little bit more niche, but it's a very, very good perk regardless. Infectious is every single time you down a survivor, people within your terrier scream and reveal themselves. Obviously, they don't have Calm Spirit, which is very good for characters that are very, very good at slugging, like Twins, or characters that have insta-downs, like Bubba, like Billy, even Myers in some cases. Slugging is a very, very powerful killer tool, and is one of your big catch-up tools that you can use to reverse a match that's going poorly back into your favor, and Infectious helps you do this way more efficiently. And lastly, Plague has Dark Devotion, which is a very, very fun perk that switches the Terriers onto the Obsession, but it's mostly just for fun. It's not very effective. Yeah, those are the top 5 killers you should buy if you want teachables in 2024. Let me know if there's somebody on this list that you missed and wanted to see. But other than that, that's going to be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching. Other than that, I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.